Well, it's very early in the morning and it's too early to be making a noise in here, so I'm going to leave the song till later. I may put the song in earlier, I'm not sure. Normally I do everything in the order that it's made in. Now, the card is a very lovely card because this is a very lovely thing in the universe. This is the Grail Master and the Grail Maiden card. And everything is coming out of the bowl of the Grail Maiden, because the Grail Maiden, that's the beginning of the journey. The Master and the Maiden, before they meet, they have to become that. The Grail Master and the Grail Maiden have to go through many experiences preparing them to meet, because when they meet they start on the divine couple journey together. And when we talk about this kind of couple journey, this is a spiritual journey. It's not a material journey. We're not going to talk about that with this card. There is a material divine couple which you normally have children together with and build your house and all that sort of thing. When you go on the Grail Master and Maiden journey, you're going into a higher type of a couple which is part of the elect of God, and you both have to be part of the elect before you can be joined on this journey. And so that's a very, very far along the pathway. Yet you can be working your way up to it, yeah? You can be working, having experiences along the way. And if you put your time to it and make it a full-time occupation, you can get there very fast. So that's what I did. I gave up the world and I just went full-time on this journey. Full-time. And the Grail Master has a cup. You see this red object? This is the cup of the gentleman, of the knight. He's a knight, really. He's a Grail knight. See this? This is like a knight's tunic. He's wearing something like this probably. And you'll see that out of the waters of the maiden's bowl is coming his cup and everything about him. So he is actually coming out of the maiden's cup because she conceived him. In the spiritual realm, she conceived him and she birthed him. And I'll show you the picture of the birthing of the spiritual, what we call it is the little Christ child. That's what the man is. He's the little Christ child, and this is the birthing of the little Christ child. And that's an actual spiritual event and an initiation for the lady, as far as I know from what my lady has told me. She's had this experience. It's called, well, first of all you have the Immaculate Conception, and then you have the birth, yeah. And it's a spiritual experience. And so this is a relationship between the Grail Maiden and the Grail Master or the Grail Knight. Grail Master is a higher thing than the Grail Knight. I've been a Grail Knight for years and years and years. What we are becoming now is a Grail Master. Okay, so that's why the card was over there. That's myself and my lady on the just behind the altar there. And so I put the card there in the night because I always think it's the end of our journey. Yeah, I think we must be there this time because of the kind of work that we're doing and starting to be prepared to be together. It may be some years away still. We have to wait because there's so many experiences that a couple gets on the journey to the Grail Master and Maiden, because that's a divine couple, that there's a lot has to be purified. And this series of videos, the cards of Adam Eye of Light, are a process of purification. In the night, having spent the whole night on this card, I've had to go through my whole journey and try to piece it together, because it's all messed up in my brain. It's over so much time, 20 years of multiple visits to Glastonbury and going elsewhere, up to Scotland, to Herefordshire, and back over to Germany, and and the Sunrise Festival probably 3 times, and how to piece it all together, to put it into some sort of order. And this is the process I'm going through now, right now, as we prepare for this initiation, okay, the Grail Master and Maiden initiation, the final one, because there is a final one where no longer are you concerned about this particular thing. The couple has been made. Absolute one is always together after that. Yet after the couple comes a group, and so we don't know about that because we've still been working on the couple, the divine couple, and so we can't tell the group story until it's happened. Now, I'm trying to work out what the and so the blue diamond, that is the little Christ child, okay, and that's coming out of and the Grail cup is what the Christ child has. It's an object, okay, it's an object of rank, because the Grail cup changes over time. There's quite a lot of time goes by that you keep the same Grail cup, and I'm going to show you my last Grail cup before this one, because it just becomes a drinking object eventually. This was a Grail cup I had before the one I'm about to show you, okay, and the one I had before this was a more elegant, smaller, finer pottery with gold on it, okay, but this one is the cup of the Queen, see, so this is kind of special really, and it's a big one. What the significance of that is, I could work it out if I wanted to go over it, but I'm not going to. It's enough. And so if I go back, I think back, I can't remember all the cups, but I did have a cup which was a small gold metal cup, gold metal, like brass or something like that, with little artificial stones around it, very similar to the cup that's associated with Glastonbury. And you can see that there's a painting as you go into the courtyard, towards the courtyard of the Library of Avalon. You enter a corridor, an alley, a tunnel, and on your immediate left-hand side there's some metal gates that are often closed at night. But you'll see the metal gates, and then there's a painting, a big mural on the wall, and you'll see the cup that symbolises the Grail cup of Glastonbury there. And I can't remember the name of what it's called, but you'll find it. And right at the end of that is the dragon, okay. The Grail cup is at the beginning. It's one side, okay, this is it. The dragon, there's an altar there, okay. And so at the entranceway there's a Grail cup painted on the wall. That's the female aspect of it, okay, because it's a cup. And then on the end of the alley, at the end of where the Library of Avalon is, that is The dragon, okay. Now, if you have a look, and the one is the dragon symbolizes the man, and the cup symbolizes the lady, even though, and so the cup is like the lady, the symbol for the lady on the man's altar, okay, symbol for the lady. Now I've seen a lady, the reason I know about this bowl is because I've seen a lady smash that bowl, smash it. And that was the end of a divine couple. That was the end of my divine couple with that lady. I'm going to talk about a little bit about that experience, but that's how I know about the bowl. The lady has a bowl, yeah. And that's the biggest symbolic object on the altar of the lady. So you've got the bowl of the lady, the one that, I'll tell you her name, Helen was her name. And Helen of Troy, you know. Helen of Troy, when you're doing the Helen journey, you're stealing Helen from somebody else. From Priam, I think it was it? I don't know. Okay. And so her bowl was about this size, and it was full of stuff, I think. It was like with soil in it, I don't know, or I don't know. She just smashed it on the ground, that was it. The lady can do anything with the hands. The lady forces everything to happen. She's much more on the physical way. She's moving on the physical way. She can do things on the physical way that no man can do. It's almost like she's forcing herself on the world, but she's not. It just seems that way. She's just more able to act more strongly on the great way. Okay. Now, my current cup is this object that you saw. That's the cup there, and you see there's actually a painting on this one of the lady. Now I got this cup together with an egg, and the egg is the egg of the Druid, and that egg is actually now on my boat because I passed that initiation to get that egg and this cup. I've already passed that initiation, and I passed the initiation to get this, but there's another with the egg. There's another part of it, because what happens is you get the egg. That's one step, and then you have to have the egg mounted into a wearable object. And it's only when it's wearable, fully wearable, that you've actually got the egg, the position that the egg stands for, okay? And so a few years ago I got the white egg, the final white egg. The white egg is a Druid egg. There's 3 Druid eggs. There's a green egg, a blue egg, and a white egg. And green symbolizes service. Green means service. Blue means devotion and divinity. And white means wisdom and purity. Okay. Now, I know of those 3 eggs because I had them. Yeah, I had them all, and I started to realize what I was having. And then when I read some old Druid stuff, I put together, and it talks about 3 eggs there, and there's also 3 different levels. They're called the Bard. The first level is the Bard. The second level is the Ovate, which is like a storyteller. He's the historian, really. And the third level, which according to the books is the final level, is the Druid. And they say it takes 20 years to become a Druid. And it's true. I only found out that after, because I'd already, when I found out I'd been on the journey for 20 years, from to get through the 3 eggs, okay, and to get through the many cups. And so you'll see that this is a wooden cup. And they said that Jesus of Nazareth had a wooden cup. And that wooden cup is buried on Chalice Hill, okay, at Glastonbury. And I spent years and years. So I was in Glastonbury for years before I became the Abbot of Glastonbury. And I spent 5 years as the Abbot of Glastonbury. Not all that time in Glastonbury, but always going back to Glastonbury and then going on pilgrimage into Europe, yeah, and into Scotland and places like this. And so that's a smaller cup. And so yeah, it's a higher cup than that great big fancy one over there. Interesting. And so I start to understand these things better as you acquire the objects and have gone through the years it takes to get them. And you'll see that it's at the top shelf there. Now, I didn't think about it when it's just, that's where it has to be. That's where it goes, on the top shelf there. And you'll see in the song I'm about to play, it says, "In the upper room, there the cup does stand." The upper room. So I'm going to put it back in the upper room. Maybe we can play that song, I don't know. Don't make too much noise. Okay, I'll see what we're going to do. We're going to play bits of the song. Alright. Going down by Avalon, Avalon of the heart. Going down by Avalon, gonna make a brand new start. Oh, the Holy Grail, there the cup does stand. Oh, the Holy Grail, down by Avalon. Okay, so this is the only song I know about the Holy Grail. And I think it's called Down by Avalon, or Avalon of the Heart. And it's written by Van Morrison, who's also a knight, been a knight on the same journey that I've been on, together with my lady. And he's a troubadour. I'm also a troubadour, but he's a full-time troubadour. I'm just like a part-time troubadour because I'm also a philosopher and a prophet and other things, yeah. And a teacher. And so he is a very great troubadour, probably the greatest of our generation. And he wrote this song because he had to go to Glastonbury, yeah. And everybody who's on this journey, the man has to go to Glastonbury. He has to do it, yeah. And because that's the only place, that's the place of the Grail, that's the only place that you can get the Grail, yeah, you can get the Grail. And you also get the pearl beyond all price there, which is another mystery, which I don't know whether I've got a card for that. If I haven't, you're not going to get it. And so Glastonbury is very important when it comes to the Grail. So Glastonbury is called the Isle of Avalon, and you can study Glastonbury. There's many books have been written about Glastonbury, and there's many Grail writings that you can study. So I'm not going to go all into the legend of the Grail and all that sort of stuff. I'm just going to share with you the actual journey as I've personally experienced it on the way, right? Because I didn't know anything about this when I started, yeah. I didn't know what I was. I had to find out just by realizing, oh goodness me, that must be what I am, yeah. because that's what I'm doing. So you can't have a plan for anything. You've just got to find yourself on this great journey. And the journey is the great chain of being. Each step a different initiation through a series of minor and major initiations. A major initiation involves cups and other objects of rank. The minor ones involve lesser objects. You can go through guitar objects, musical objects to do with your music, because everybody has to play music on this. A knight used to fight his battles, a knight with a sword. A knight has to have a sword, yet eventually there's a sword master initiation, which I will talk about in this in another card. Yeah. And before the sword master initiation, there's a special knife that has to be made. My knife was called Trabant, and one man had to make the knife, I had to make the handle, and a wooden handle, and somebody else that I met, a master craftsman, had to make a wooden sheath for the knife to go on. And that happened to me fairly early on together with my lady. It may have been within the first couple of years that I was together with my lady. That knife was made, and that was the two of us. The sword, it's like the sword and the sheath, yeah. It was a small sword. It wasn't a sword yet. It was a knife. And when it's time to get the sword, the knife gets taken away. Someone just steals it from you, yeah. And so the objects move around and go where they're meant to be. Now, to go to the beginning, I was living my life in the material world, together with my soulmate, yeah, of my marriage, she wasn't a twin flame. It was a kind of divine couple, yet she was not allowed, because of the crimes that I had committed against other ladies in my past. She was never allowed to give me any good loving or anything like that. And so it was a miserable 28 years I spent with her. It was miserable, and I call that a karmic relationship, where you're in the relationship simply to work off some karma, and the lady doesn't love you. Perhaps it's vice versa. I don't know. I'm teaching now the man's journey, because my lady, it's only my lady who can really teach the ladies part of the journey. So there are aspects that we'll be talking about ladies, but I'll be talking about it from the man's point of view, and you have to realize it's different. It's a different journey, the man's journey. I'll take 5. Going down by Avalon, Avalon of the heart. Going down by Avalon, gonna make a brand new start. And I came upon the enchanted veil, the viaducts of my dream. Down by Avalon hangs a tale in the enchanted veil. The enchanted veil. So there are many magical places in Avalon, and I used to carry this knife, a special knife, and it was the Druid's knife, a special sacred knife that was used to cut all the sticks and stuff to make temples and to make staffs to give to people. I used to give people staffs, cut them from the sacred grove, which was at the bottom of the hill of Chalice Hill. There's a sacred grove there, the Enchanted Vale it is, and that's where the most sacred hazel sticks grow. And I used to carry this knife always on me. I don't know how I managed to do this. And they have terrible knife laws in England. And I used to carry that knife across the border from Germany to England, back again. Okay, I lost it in Germany, the knife. Yet I had it here, and I can remember one particular occasion. I used to make sticks for people, but I never ever showed anybody the Enchanted Vale where I got the sticks from. I never showed anybody that until one day I was walking the streets of Glastonbury. I used to just meet people on the way, and this very, very special child just pitched up with the father, I think, of the child. And the father knew the child was special. The child was very special. The child was destined to be a druid, yeah, and was probably starting very, very early, because we have these special children now coming in. Everything's accelerated now in this time, and I'm not talking. This child will probably be 20 years old now, yeah, at least. And at the time there were about 7 or 8, something like this. And so he was interested in me and what I had to say, and I taught, and my sticks and stuff like that, and what I was wearing and that. And I said to his father, I said, you know, I'm guided to show him the Enchanted Vale and to cut him a stick, and let him cut a stick from the Enchanted Vale, you know, to show him how to do it. Because nobody knew about this, and if I leave it behind, maybe nobody will ever discover it again, because it takes a little while to discover these special places that nobody knew about. The Enchanted Vale, yeah, it was like completely untouched. Nobody went there except me, the only person who ever went there. So the father said, yeah, okay, and if anybody had stopped and stopped me from doing it, I would have not done it. It just kind of all moved on the way. And I took the child down to the sacred grove, and I left the father. Can't remember whether I left the father behind or whether he came and watched. He might have come and watched. And I had to take the knife out, you know, and take it out of its sheath. It's a terrible, vicious-looking knife, you know. The knife has to be more like it's like a chopping, like an axe. Like, it's very, very thick, heavy black metal, and you use it to actually axe through. You don't cut like a knife with it. You chop with it, so you can chop a stick out. And so I showed him how to make a few cuts with it, of one of the sticks, and then I let him do it. Cut a stick. Oh my God, I hope the father isn't going to go crazy and he sees this knife come out, I think I'm going to murder his son. I don't know, but I had to do it, yeah, and it was okay. It was funny, it was okay. And so I showed him how to trim it off and finish the stick off, and then he had a stick. And he'd seen the process, and so when he grew up, or maybe he started to do it straight away, he'll start to make the sticks. And he needed an adult druid to show him what to do, because, you know, his father needed to see it too, because his father needed to know he had to have a knife to do this. And so you can see how by this happening to the father and the son, so they're taught by nature, you know, we need to get the young boy a knife and allow him to start messing with sticks and stuff like that. So gives you sort of an idea of what sort of stuff you get to do in Glastonbury. But at that time I wasn't the abbot of Glastonbury. I was working as like a priest, a high priest, that sort of level, where you're actually working with altars, you're working with temples were building and magical objects and stuff like that. You're making stuff for people. That's really what it is. And at that point, that time, you're not supposed to be in a couple. You're supposed to be celibate. Okay. It's only when you actually get put together with a divine partner now you can become an abbot. You have to have a divine partner to become an abbot. You can't be an abbot if you're celibate and single. It's not possible. Okay. So the highest positions, the lower positions of the church, you go from being a couple in your material life to being celibate on the journey of the night, and then you find your couple, and then you become a couple, and then you're a couple after that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take 5, and then I'll go back to the beginning again of the story. Going down by Avalon, the journey's just begun. Okay, so you're down in Avalon. You think you've been on a long pilgrimage. You're well down the track, but the journey's just begun. It's a huge journey to the divine couple. And so I started this journey when I left my wife of 28 years and gave her and my family everything that I had, and left the country I was living in to go to England on a plane ticket, carrying too much stuff, and she drove me to the airport. Yeah. And my children was 16 and above, and I was able to leave them. Yet I told Carol, was her name, I said to Carol, I said, I'm not leaving you. Yeah, I'm going to find another lady, because she wouldn't in England. I said, I've got to go and do a mission, a spiritual mission, and I'll have to do it with a lady. I can't be by my own. And I offered her the opportunity to do it, to be together as a divine couple on the spiritual journey. She said, no, I'm not going. I'm not interested in God and all that stuff. You know, I want to carry on drinking beer and enjoying myself. I said, well, you can't be with me. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And so what happened was what broke me out eventually was I found an old flame, if you like, of somebody I knew from many years ago, from when I was a child, really. And I had a serious relationship with his sister. Okay, now I need to stop. I need to tell you something else before we carry on, because the only reason that you have more than one partner after you start the journey of the divine couple, after I left my wife of 28 years, the only reason you wouldn't go straight into your permanent divine couple is because you need to learn certain laws. Now, if you can learn those laws from me, there wasn't anybody I could learn those laws from, so I had to learn them the hard way. I had to learn them by breaking them all. So you can save yourself a lot of effort and many heartbreaking events in your life relating to losing the divine couple if you take into account what I'm going to tell you in this video, because I'm going to explain the mistakes that I had to learn, and that you can't do certain things on the journey. So I came into contact by email with this old lady that I wanted to be coupled with, and I had actually kissed her, and I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I actually did kiss her, and so it was kind of like we were kind of connected there, and it was some years before, and And so when we reconnected, we were just exchanging emails, and just not as if we were wanting to be partners or anything like that. We were just talking, oh hi, and what you're doing, and how, you know, your life, and so it was just like normal friends emails, and that started it. Yeah. And one day I thought, I just got a message, because I'm 3 years into a spiritual journey, yeah, on the great way. So I just thought, I have to call her, yeah. And so I telephoned her, and I didn't know what I was going to say. And she answered the phone, and I said, "Hello, Gloria." I said, "I think I'm your soulmate." I just said it. I just couldn't believe it. I said, he said, and she immediately posted. He said, "Yeah, I think I'm yours." And so this was a tremendous sign, that without premeditation, these words had just been exchanged. And so I thought, well, I've got to partner with her, yeah, because I need to leave the relationship that I'm in now, and go on the mission, yeah. And so some time went after that. It was probably about 9 months, something like that, between that and me actually leaving. And to actually leave, I had to do it on the great way. I couldn't just go and plan all this stuff. And so I had to wake up in the morning and think, oh, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to buy a ticket today, but I don't know. I'll wait and see. And I find myself wandering to the ticket shop, and I get to the ticket shop where you buy tickets, and I turn around and walk back again. I wouldn't even go in the door, you know. So this happened a couple of times to show me that I wasn't actually doing it myself, yeah. And eventually, at some point in time, after certain events happened, I actually walked into the shop and bought the ticket. So I knew I was going then once I had the ticket. And it's interesting, I told Carol that we were still married. I said, I'm going to take a second wife. That's what I said. I'm going to take a second wife in another country. She won't be anywhere near her. It'll be in another country. I'm going to take a second wife, and I have to do my mission. I'm not I'm not divorcing you, yeah. And she said to me, and she had said it before in the past, she said, if I ever leave you, I'm going to marry a rich farmer. Because that's all she wanted to get married for, to what she could get out of it, you know, financially and materially, yeah. That was her life. That's why she wasn't suitable, really. She may have changed now. She probably has, actually, as everybody grows spiritual in the end. But she'd done it with me, because she went off, and actually she did exactly what she said. After a few years, maybe a year or so after I left her, I found out, because I gave her a chance. Eventually I gave her another chance after I met Elisabeth and everybody. Before Elisabeth and I became firmly entrenched, I said to her, I said, look, I can come back. I said, I can come back if you want me to. I said, I can come back. And she said, no, I've got another man. He's a farmer. He was a rich farmer, and that. So she'd already taken another man. So God gave her the chance of being true to me, but she wasn't, and so she lost me. Okay. Otherwise, I probably would have had to go back to her. But the way the karma works is, she was destined to do that, because I was destined to be with Elisabeth anyway. But Elisabeth is way off in the future. Okay. So let's try another bit. Okay. Go down by Avalon of the heart. Going down by Avalon, make a brand new start. I came upon the enchanted veil, the viaducts of my dream. Down by Avalon hangs a tale, and the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail. Oh, the Avalon sunset. Okay, too far there because I made a mistake. I'm going to stop. Oh, the Avalon sunset, a trying time for all. Oh, the Avalon sunset really had a ball. Okay, so those were the words I was trying to find. The Avalon sunset, the Avalon sunset, a trying time for all. So I got on this plane. It took me nearly 2 days to get to London, and I arrived in London in like some kind of like really exalted state, and I had to deal with all these bags. I couldn't even get them through the gates, and there's too much, yeah. And I was frightened to death of someone who was going to steal my bags. I don't know. I was completely paranoid when I got to London. And somehow I had to find my way from London to somewhere in Kent where Gloria was staying, okay, and get on, through a train and so on. And I lost my computer. My computer had all my photography. I somehow, right at the end of the journey, I must have left it behind on the train, or somebody might have taken it. Had all my bags there, and somebody might have taken my computer. I remember that. But yeah, when I got off the train, Gloria was there to meet me, and she didn't really know I was coming. I mean, I told her in the last minute because I said I don't know whether I'm going to be. I don't know what's happening because I'm on the way. You know, I can't make appointments and everything. So I just sent her a message just before I was going to arrive to say when I was arriving, and she was at the railway station to meet me, and we got in a car and we sort of looked at each other and say too much, looked at each other, and then suddenly she kissed me. She moved over and she kissed me. She just did it. That's what the ladies can do. And so all the man can do is wait. He has to be kissed. He can't go trying to kiss the ladies because they know who their partners are. Yeah. So Gloria knew that she was partnering me in this moment. But Gloria's had hundreds of partners. Because Gloria is like a bossy lady. You know, she wants to tell her man what to do. You know, do this, do that. And so we lasted about a week, Gloria and I. And we had a lovely time together. I arrived on bonfire night, and I remember at the peak of everything, the fireworks just went off. It was just like, wow, this is just amazing, yeah. And just amazing. But then I had to walk out of the house and just go into the wild nature, into the cold and the bleak winter, and leave because it was not meant to be. And I knew afterwards that the problem was the sister, that you're not allowed to partner with the sister of a lady that you've been partnered with. You're not allowed to do that. It's like against the law. That's what I was learning, because I had her sister, Lynette, had been my first love, my first couple, and Gloria was her sister. Gloria was attracted to me when she was young, and I also was attracted to her, but I was already partnered with her sister. And so there was a bit of a strange sort of karmic thing there. Perhaps I was supposed to have been, Gloria and me were supposed to be the couple. And I feel that that was the way it was supposed to be. And I made the mistake when I was a young man of chasing after Lynette and kissing her. I think that's what I did. I didn't wait for Gloria to kiss me. And in the time that I was brought up in the 1960s, as a child of about, say, 13 years old, you didn't sort of go with the 10-year-old, you know, or the 11-year-old. She would have been 2 years younger than Lynette. And so you sort of went with the one who was more your age, because that was the accepted practice of the day. Yeah, it's all wrong. The gentleman should be older than the lady, and I feel that probably Gloria was the one I was supposed to have, but I just didn't wait long enough, yeah. And the karma of it is once you take the wrong sister, you're not allowed to have the other one, yeah. Okay. So that was the first lesson I had to learn, was about sisters. You're not allowed to have the sister of a previous lover, yeah. Right, so now I'm still on the journey, and I'm still on off wandering around England, and the next divine couple on the way after Gloria was another man's lady. Okay, and so I was attracted to 2 or 3 other men's ladies, yeah. And I was kind of still making an effort to try to acquire my partner, and I would meet an attractive lady and who was right, could be partnered with me, and I would immediately want to be partnered with them, irrespective of it, as long as they were like, you know, on the spiritual journey, and so it would have been all right to partner with any of them, but they were not my lady. They were meant to be somebody else's lady. And so I did have a few experiences like this, but I never kissed any other lady that I wanted to, if you know what I mean. And so before you meet your divine other half, your Grail Maiden, if you like, before you meet her, you have a special meeting with your twin flame. Okay. And your twin flame, it's your twin flame, but you're not allowed to have her. You can't have her. Okay. So you've got to come together in some special way, meet your twin flame, want her, almost come together with her, but then she won't have you. She won't have you. And she's got no partner, but she won't have you, right? And probably she's having the same thing because she's about to meet a real partner. So I don't know, because I don't see the other side of it. Yeah. So at the time, I was living in a yurt community, yurt making community in Herefordshire. And I'd gone through some tremendous experiences in the forest there. The visions I told you about was part of that. And I had to go on a bicycle pilgrimage in the middle. It was not the middle. It was, but it was like November or something like this. It was cold, and I met this other lady on the bicycle, and she seemed a nice lady. I went to a pilgrimage to another community, a local community, and I met her, and she was having trouble with some of the people there, and she seemed to be like me, and she was on a bicycle, and so, you know, I talked about it, and then I just left. And I told her where the community that I was living in was, where I was going to be, and she pitched up on her bicycle. So I thought, oh yeah, this must be my partner. Yeah, and she came and she spent a night in my bender, which is like a man-made house, and I didn't touch it. She slept where she was on one side of the bender, the opposite end of me, and I slept there, and we didn't. Nothing happened, you know. And so the next day, Lenny, who was a kind of like the dark toehanger of Druid of the community, he was like a womanizer, complete womanizer, because he's like the opposite of me. You know, I want one divine lady. I'm looking for the divine couple. What he's looking for is just to have his way with everyone. Yeah, and so he does it by being especially nice and pleasant and smiley and all this kind of fake stuff. You know, when he's thinking his evil thoughts inside. Yeah, and so he immediately latched onto this lady and got her moved out of my place into his place, and you know, I don't know what happened with them, but anyway, it turned out that I didn't get to be with this lady. I didn't get to be with her, and it was cold. It was cold time of the year, and so she headed off on the bicycle. I headed off on the bicycle. We met each other on the way a little bit, and then she disappeared and I disappeared in a different direction. So our ways diverged, but we both left the community. She to get away from Lenny, and me to carry on with the pilgrimage. And it was sad to not be partnered with her, but I feel that what she did with Lenny was probably made her not eligible to be with me. Something, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, there's some kind of opposite karma involved here. And so I went on my journey. I went through an initiation in the mountains there. It's called what's called the Lazarus experience, which is 3 days in a completely soaking shelter that's just to lie in the water, just like dead for 3 days, and then somehow you resurrected at the end of it. And I won't go into details of it because we're not talking about that at this point, but it's part of the story. And then I carried on. I went to Bristol, and I needed to. My tyres were worn out. I needed to get new tyres, so I went to Bristol and I tried to busk the money to get the tyres, and I busked a lot of money, about £50, and it was all in my hat, and I was busking it, and somebody came and just grabbed my hat and ran off with it. all day I've been there busking, trying to get the tyres. And so I thought, oh, blow me days, I'm never going to go back to Bristol. I said, Bristol's a terrible place. And so I got on my bike and I just rode out of Bristol, still with the bad tyres. And I ended up going through some places, and I came to this one town, and lo and behold, I meet this young lady of the bicycle, and I find out that she's actually found herself in this town, and she's working in the pub and living in some caravan or something. And she says, I told her what had happened in Bristol, and with the tyres, and she said, I'll buy you some tyres. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, so this is nature just coming to you, you know, because there's nothing you can do. And so I sent my bike in to get new tyres, and she paid for them. Yeah. And that was the last I saw her, really. She helped me out in that way, and I carried on the way. And I ended up very, very strong winds. I was heading towards Avebury, the stone circle at Avebury, right? It's the big, most important stone circle in the whole of that area, the whole of England, really. It's more so, I feel, than Stonehenge. It's bigger than Stonehenge. It's more spread out. It's huge. It's even got a church in the middle of it. It's a very big thing, Avebury. big stones. And so I think I hadn't been there before. I was going to Avebury, and it was going to take me days to get there. Yet this huge wind suddenly sprung up, like a storm almost, and I had the wind right at my back. And I was doing about 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour on this flipping bicycle with my bags and everything. It was like really amazing. And it just blew me all the way to Avebury. And when I got to Avebury, it subsided. And I was just walking around the stones at Avebury and not wondering where am I being led, because all the time you're feeling the way, yeah, you're trying to find out where am I going. You haven't got a plan, yeah. It's just in the divine moment, the eternal now. And so I walk and I walk and I walk, and I see a stone, and I said, that's a stone there. And I walk towards the stone, and when I get to the stone, there's a lady sitting right there. I said, my God, I've been blown all this way, and she's just probably going to be there for like half an hour or something at the stone, 10 minutes. And all the timing of it, you know, to get there, I would have normally only got there like 2 or 3 days later, yeah. Here I am at Avebury, right at the right moment with the wind and everything. And it's a Norwegian lady, Tony, her name was, Tone. And I got a message, this is your partner here, so okay. So I said to her, look, there's something special going on here. I explained that, I said, you know, maybe we're meant to be together somehow. You've come here, and she'd done the same thing. She'd come all the way to Norway just to spend 1 day at Avebury, just 1 day, and then go back again, yeah. So it was like, wow, we've just come. That was it. That's all we did was come and meet. That's all, the two of us on this long journey. I thought, this is special. You can't ignore this, yeah. And so we exchanged contact details, and I was in contact with her. And at the time, I was going to Bristol to meet this guy who would set up a thing called the Utopia experiment, which was how would you live if the world came to an end and you didn't have anything, just had to live in nature. And I had been put as the spiritual advisor, the lawgiver, if you like, for this community. And he was the material aspect of it. And I kind of told him that, I think. But there's a lot of things said. I don't think he really took it in as well as he should have done. And I'd made 2 yurts for this community. I built them myself with my own hands, and he come and visited us at the yurt making community, and he'd seen the yurts. He'd spent the night in one of them, and he'd arranged for a truck to pick the yurts up and take them up to the community Utopia experiment, which was in the Black Isle in Scotland. And so that's where I was heading. And so I moved up to the Black Isle, Scotland, over a period of some weeks, maybe a month or so, and I'd had occasional messages with Tony, or Tuon, I think it was Tuon, don't know how you pronounce it. And she wanted to come over to the community. I thought, wow, this must be it. This is us becoming a divine couple here. And when I saw her at Avebury, she looked like a normal kind of a person. She had her hair tied back. She had blonde hair, but it was tied back and wavy and tied back. It didn't look anything special. I didn't think of her as being like tremendously beautiful or anything like that. She was nice, but just normal, yeah. And wearing a sporting outfit, just like a sports skier, not dressed up or anything. Anyway, to get over to the Utopia experiment, she has to come straight from work, and she works at some huge, the biggest like accounting executive firm. She's an executive, in this Coopers and Lybrand, this like huge big company, and she's like super. I suppose she's like rich and got a great job and all this kind of thing. I don't know. I didn't know this about her because I didn't ask. Yeah, and so she arrives wearing her work clothes, that she'd been wearing, and she's just like stunning. She's absolutely stunning. She's like, she's got this like wavy hair. It's all loose now, and she's just absolutely stunning. Yeah. I can't believe it. Yeah, I think I've hit the jackpot. This is all my dreams come true kind of thing. Yeah, and of course I'm madly in love with her by this time. I've exchanged many, and you shouldn't get that kind of love when you're a divine. You're supposed to have unconditional love for everybody, and not something like, oh my God, I can't live without her, sort of stuff. That kind of love, which was the sort I was getting. And what I've learned is that before you meet your divine partner that you're going to be partnered up with, you have to meet this special twin flame that you can't stand not to be with. Yeah, you've got to be with them, but they won't have you. And what it does is it purifies all of this bad love out of you. Yeah, the conditional kind. Yeah, that kind of love. And so that was what was going on. And so this is my twin flame, and the twin flame is that you've got a number of twin flames in the world. There's not just one of them. There's a number of them, and they're the part of you that was made at the same time you were made, and so they're the same spirit as you. And if you're with them, you just love to be. You don't want to leave. Yeah. And so I had this experience with her that I didn't want to leave, but she wouldn't have me. Yeah, she wouldn't have me. She just knew she wanted to be with me. She'd sit and hold my hand and that. Yeah, but she couldn't have me. She just knew she couldn't have me. Yeah, she was just there to put me through the initiation. That's all it was, really. And she was nice, and we had a great time, and we got on bicycles and rode around, and I took pictures of her and so on. And it was a nice time, but when she left, that was it. I thought, oh my God, here I go, back on my own again. Now, in between meeting Tony and going to the Utopia experiment, I had to go to what was called the Feast of the Magdalene. Now, I knew that the Feast of the Magdalene, the Feast of the Magdalene was about bringing back the divine couple into the world. That's what it was all about. Mary Magdalene is the Magdalene, yeah. And so it was to bring the lady, Mary Magdalene, back into the world to be with a gentleman, yeah. And so I heard about this thing. I've got to go there. I know I've got to go there. And it was in Glastonbury. And so after the Avebury thing, I went to Glastonbury and I went to the Feast of the Magdalene. And whilst I was at the Feast of the Magdalene, I did a bit of talking in the circle, and there was this lady Helen there, and she had hair that was like down to here. I've never seen anybody with such long hair. And it's interesting because my lady Elisabeth, she was partnered up with a really, really longest haired man in the country, in East Germany. And so we both have this experience of having the partner with the longest hair. Yeah. She also had to leave him, the same as Helen. I had to leave Helen. Yeah. So I found myself after the Magdalene, just we'd done some spiritual work and listened to some talk and had some talk amongst ourselves, and we were just sitting around, just relaxing in a chair. And I found myself sitting next to Helen, this Helen lady, and I'd noticed her in the circle. I hadn't paid too much attention to her. We sat down together, and we just started talking, and it wasn't like Tuon, where I was attracted to her physically, so strongly attracted to her. With Helen, it was more like she's just like me. She's like a mate, She's just she agrees with everything I'm saying, you know. I said, you know what I mean. And so I said to her, Helen, I was just completely honest. I just couldn't help myself because we're just so honest, and we're both in the present moment. We both know what's going on. She heard me and respected me. I heard her and respected her. And so, and we're sitting there having a nice time, just chatting, whatever inspiration comes to us. I said to her, I said, Helen, I said, you know, if I wasn't already partnered or had made an arrangement and promised somebody that I would be with them, meet them, I said, I would have you. I said, you and I are just so meant to be together. I said, and yet I've already made this arrangement with this other lady. I had an appointment. And so yeah, and Helen said, yeah. You said, yeah, you're right, he said. But Helen was on her own, but she wasn't, because Helen had this other partner, Pete, that she lived with. And she must have told me at some point, I don't think it was right at the beginning, it was somewhere along the line, perhaps before she kissed me, she did mention as a side point, I'm not going to leave Pete. But I thought, oh, she's just saying that, you know, he's never here, where is he, you know, kind of thing. And so, because she just ran around on her own, and he did his own thing, yeah. And, but she lived in his house when she was in the house, but she used to travel around, do stuff all the time, yeah. And so I thought, oh no, she'll partner with me. And so after I lost Tuon, I said to her, if it doesn't work out with Tuon, I'll give you a ring. And she said, okay, and it didn't work out with Tuon. So I'm just sitting there, I've got the phone, and so yeah, I'll call Helen. So I called Helen, and I said, it didn't work out with Tuon. I said, do you want to come up to the Utopia experiment? And I think that's what attracted her to me in the first place, because she knew I was doing the Utopia experiment. So I had a lot of exciting stuff to talk about and that, yeah. And so she said, yeah, she'd love to. And so, so she came up, and when she arrived, I told her what sort of that she needed to have a blanket, cut a hole in it, put a head through it. It's what we needed to be wearing, this sort of stuff that works if you're living out in nature, in the open, and with the rain and all that sort of stuff. It's good to have rather than a coat, to have a blanket that goes over you. It's much better in the rain. So I told her about that, and she arrived with a blanket, yeah, wearing a blanket, and it was lovely. You know, we met, and we had a lovely time, yeah. And I didn't kiss her either. There was only one place to sleep, and that was in my yurt, and there was one bed, but there was just like two sleeping bags, I suppose, you know, one over the other. Each had their own bedding there. And I just went to bed. I didn't. We went to bed, and she went to bed, and I didn't touch her. And then after just a brief moment, I felt her arm come over, and she initiated the coming together as a couple. Yeah. And so I felt I'd learnt that, not to chase after the ladies. Okay. But now what I'm learning is the lady's got to be free to partner with you, yeah? That's the next thing I have to learn, is you can't take somebody else's partner. Now, I didn't know that before this. I didn't know it, yeah. And I had to learn it. So it's a very difficult thing to talk about this, and I hope Elisabeth understands that I have to talk about this for the teaching of it, and I have to do it for the teaching of it. My respect for her, it doesn't alter anything between her and I, yeah, because we love each other, yeah, and unconditionally, forever. That's the way it is, yeah. And so what I'm saying to you I'm saying for the good of the world, not for any motive. No, I have no motive. Okay. Okay. That's enough now, and I'll take 5. Now I've got a feeling that I can't prove it. I'm not sure, because I don't know all ladies' circumstances. Yet I've got a feeling that the ladies are actually perfect, and it's the men that have got the problem. That's how I feel it is. And so, if this is a symbol for the lady, you can see the lady is the mother, and the child is you. And so the man, the mother knows the way, and and teaches the child the way, right? And so it's the lady who's teaching the men, really. And she doesn't teach the men by saying, do this, do that, don't this, don't that. It's a man's job to do that. She teaches the man by forcing him through to experience events which he then thinks about and meditates about, and comes to some understanding about the laws of nature, and then brings them back into the world. That's how it works. and so I'm going to try to explain the complicated karmic relationship that happened, and the events and all that was going on in this couple between me and Helen, and now Pete, her partner, who's back home where she normally lives, that I don't really know about, and she doesn't mention. Okay, because both me and Pete are learning something, and I feel that Helen is just teaching this. That's all. Helen's teaching this, and she has to do what she's doing. And so I'll explain what happened, because at the end of this whole exercise with Helen, after many months, I learned everything that was going down. So I knew what the mistakes were, yeah, at the end of it. Okay. And what had happened was, I'll start with Pete. Pete, his teaching, Pete was a master. He was a higher level master than I was, okay? So I got Pete's wonderful lady for 3 months, okay? And I thought that I was partnered forever, that this was my partner forever, and I would have had Helen, if I could have had Helen, I would have had Helen forever, just like you do when you're divine partner. But God said, no, can't have Helen. You're learning something from Helen. Helen is going to teach you something, right? And so I was learning from Helen, Pete was learning from Helen. Helen was just playing her part, yeah. Okay, so first of all, for Pete, for anything, for Helen to go off and have a nice time with another man, Pete has to do something bad, right? Now, Pete doesn't believe there's anything bad in the universe, because Pete is what's called a magician. He's not a light tohanger, he's the dark one, okay? And Pete is trained in NLP, neural linguist programming, and he hypnotizes people and stuff like that, yeah? And so he's the very highest dark master, yeah? If you meet him, he looks wonderful and light, you know, you can't tell the difference between the dark and the light at the highest level, and Pete was the highest level of this, okay, the highest. And so I had an opportunity of meeting somebody like this and learning from them. And so that was what nature was giving me, the opportunity to do that. I also, Helen and Pete told Helen, his teaching was, do what you like, do what makes your heart sing, without reservation. So if you want to go and have sex with somebody else, that's fine. Whatever it is, do it. Yeah, that was his teaching, and he had to learn that that is a false teaching. And so, how you learn that is you do something like that yourself, and then see what happens. And so Pete had sex with her best friend, with Helen's best friend. Okay, I found this out afterwards, and this meant that for Helen to balance the karma, for him having one event of sex with her best friend, she got 3 months of a wonderful time with me. That was the karma balancing thing. And I got to experience a divine couple, okay, for 3 months. So I was learning on the way and to balance my karma, all right, because I'd done these sort of things myself. You know, I was trying to learn not to take other people's ladies, not to take them, even though they willingly want to come. I said, no, you have to be free to be. You have to ask the question. You can't just say, assume, oh no, they'll be giving up. They'll come in with me. Why would they? Why would they not? Because we're now a divine couple. No, no. No, no, because they may be just balancing some karma they've got with that person. So that's what you have to understand, that these karma balancing things are going on around you, and you don't want to be involved in balancing someone else's karma and then you lose the chance to be a divine couple. You just make sure that everything's okay, yeah, everything's okay, that you are both free to partner, yeah. Now, one of the interesting things I learned from Helen was she was part of a witch's coven, okay? So I got the inside info, what they're not supposed to teach. They're not supposed to talk about what goes on in the witch's coven, yeah? It's supposed to be all secret, yeah? And it's against, they have to take oaths of secrecy and all that kind of stuff. But because we were partners as a divine couple, she was able to tell me a lot of stuff that I couldn't have learned in any way other than joining a witch's coven myself, okay? And you can't do that, yeah? You can't do that. I couldn't do that. Would destroy all the chances of me being able to teach you anything. And so Pete was the one that took her to the coven, got her introduced to the coven, because Pete wanted to have sex with a lot of the coven members, yeah, that's what he wanted to do. And he thought, yeah, he wanted group sex and all that sort of stuff, yeah. Because he's a dark master, yeah. That's what the dark, is like Lenny, yeah. That's what the dark master wants. And so Helen, who was a lovely lady, she just found herself with this dark master. Once you're partnered up with these people, you can't help yourself. That's it. You're stuck with it, yeah. As a lady, you can't, unless he does something. Well, I don't know. He was able to have sex with some other woman, but I don't know. Maybe it's because of what she did. I don't fully understand it. Why Helen had to stay with him, but she did. She did, because what happened was the end, we were together for 3 months, and then the Utopia experiment closed for the winter. And as usual, I don't know where I'm going. I'm just on the way. Yeah. So we both had to leave the Utopia experiment on the same day. So we got on the bus together, headed to London. Yeah. And what were we going to do? And anyway, in London, Helen decides she'll ask Pete if she can bring me home. Take me to Pete's place. Okay, it's going to be interesting. And so she phones Pete and explains the situation, and she says, yeah, I can come. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to find out what happens when 2 masters and 1 lady master all live together in the same house. Yeah, not a good idea. Anyway, you know, I'm a master. I can do it. Yeah, I'm happy to see, you know, if I'm good enough, if I'm, you know, don't have the personal ego problems that might bring up. Yeah, and it didn't bring up ego problems. It's interesting. It didn't bring ego problems in me. It didn't bring ego problems with Pete. But Pete learned that he didn't really fully appreciate his lady, because now he had to see her with me. and he didn't, not before, he didn't want, he really didn't care about it, didn't really want to, but now, oh my God, now he's thinking maybe he could lose Helen, she'd head off with me. So he starts his hypnosis stuff. Not in front of me, but yeah, when they're alone together, he's the NLP man, you know. Now, if you go to an NLP man's house and you take your lady, you know, I mean, I should have said to Helen, no, you can't go, but yeah, we're going somewhere else. I didn't have anywhere to take Helen, and so, you know, that's just the way it was. And so we ended up there, and I mean, it was just a mistake to do it, to take her back to him, and but I had to do it because there was nothing. It was what had to be. I had to learn what they had to teach me. And so I learned about him, I learned about her, I learned about witches' covens, I learned about all the things that go on there, all the bad sex and stuff, and exactly how it all works and all that. And so I have a very, very good understanding of what happens if you go downwards all the way, or what happens if you go up all the way. Yeah? One leads to the divine couple, the other one leads to a witch's coven. And there are many, many witches' covens, and it's like a big witches' rabbit heap in Glastonbury. You know, there's just like witches. There's loads and loads of witches and warlocks in Glastonbury, and very, very few nice little fairy people. Yeah, very few. And so I warn you, all these spiritual places, they attract the opposites. Wherever you have the one, wherever you have the divine, you've got to have its opposite, the demonic aspect. Yeah. Okay, and so we were together trying to live in this house, and I knew it had to go. And in the end, I was probably there for a month, and in the end, Helen just smashed the bowl, because I was arguing with him, Pete. It was getting to the point where it had to be the work. You know? I mean, I was there for the work, for God's work, not for the lady. That, and it had to be the work. And so I was in a serious argument with Pete, because he was telling lies, and the truth needed to be maintained. Yeah. And so she just came in. She heard what was going on. She just came in and just smashed the ball. And that was it. And I knew in that moment, I knew, it's over, I've got to go. Yeah, I knew it. I just, instantly, as soon as that ball broke, I knew it. And I said, right, I'll get my bag. And I just packed my little bag up, and I said, you take me to the train station. And they took me to the train station. This was in Hastings, and bought me a ticket on the train, and sent me to Glastonbury. So that was the end of my my learning experience of the first divine couple. I'd been a divine couple. I knew how wonderful it was. I saw the mistakes that you had to make. I learnt many things from an existing divine couple. So mistakes that I didn't need to make with my own lady. And so now I was prepared, if you like, after some time, for another kiss of the divine couple, to make another divine couple. And the next lady I kissed was Elisabeth, and she kissed me. I didn't kiss her, she kissed me. And so that's really the journey. And in between this divine couple, Helen and myself, Adam and Helen, and Adam and Elisabeth, there were some years, perhaps a year or 2 years maybe. I had to go on the way, and I had to go through other experiences and meet other ladies, and I need to tell you something about that too. So I'll take 5. Well, I was going to tell you also that there's a thing called the pearl beyond all price, and this is something that you can find on the way, that you have to find on the way before you find a divine lady. And what happened with me was I found two of these pearls. I found the pearl and I lost it when I lost a lady, an opportunity to get a lady. And the second one I had to find again, I had to find another one. So it came to me. You don't go looking for these things, they find you. So one of them I was at the Sunrise Festival and I lifted up my blanket and that I've been sitting on for days, and underneath it I found a pearl, a real pearl. And my lady now has that in her ring. And I found another one in the streets of Glastonbury. I just looked down and there was a pearl in the gutter. And I just picked it up and then I had another pearl. I never had two at the same time. And at the Rainbow Gathering in Bosnia, I lost one because I lost the opportunity there to have a lady. Okay, so you can lose ladies and you can find. I had to have that experience to know that the pearl wasn't just a coincidence, that it was associated with a lady. And my lady, I have this ring. I'm going to be talking about rings in another card. I have this ring, which is my ring, the ring of Adam of Light, and Elisabeth has the pearl beyond all price, mounted now in a large gold ring. It's a large pearl, yeah. And this ring of hers has grown over the years. It started off with a diamond, not the hard diamond, the soft diamond, the one that's inexpensive, but it's better than having a hard diamond. You don't want it's a hard lady gets a hard diamond. You want a soft, gentle lady to have a gentle diamond. And so she had this as it was her first ring, and then the diamond fell out, and we used that ring to put the pearl in, and she had that for many years. And then this year, she had the idea, she knew she needed the ring to be better now, and so she now has a better ring, only just in time for the Grail Master and Maiden initiation. Now, the Grail Master is the final high-level point on the pathway to the Grail. It's been something that I've been doing for some time. You teach the people about the journey to the Grail, and I've been teaching that for a long time now. And the more I know about it, the more detail I can give. And one of the things that is interesting about the Grail Master journey is you can give the maidens away. All the maidens belong to the Grail Master, and the Grail Master and his lady can give the maidens away. And I know this because I've given people divine couples. Okay, I have to stop now, and I'll tell the story in a minute. It's not plugged in. I had an unusual experience once. I have given ladies to people. The one that was the most remarkable one to me was I had an initiation partner. Well, an initiation partner is somebody who you're tested with. So will you be tempted to ditch your lady and take this other lady? This is what the test is really. And I had been through tests with this. I was attracted to this lady when my lady was not aware, and I thought I'd lost my lady forever. And so I thought maybe this lady is going to take her place. And so I had that relationship to the lady, and then my lady pitched up. She came from a foreign land and came and stayed with me, and now we're a couple again. So I knew that I was now back with my lady, and we met this other lady who had been my initiation partner a few times, and so I had been speaking with her, and we were going through some stuff together, me and my lady, and I was not with my lady was in one place, and I was going to this lady's place for some reason. I was at this lady's place. I went to her house for some reason, and she wasn't home, but she arrived just at the time that I was getting there, and she said to me, she said, Adam, I need to make love to a man. I need to make love to a man. And you know, if that was Lenny, or if that was, he'd say, no problem, come, let's jump in the sack. You know, that's what they'd say. So I said, okay. I said, and I thought about it, and I thought, I said, there's a nice young man who's on the boat next to mine, and he hasn't got a lady, and you might like him. Yeah, just came to me, and if you like, I'll arrange for you to meet him. Yeah. And she said, yeah, okay, great, yeah. And so you see the temptation there, and that was a test. If I'd have done anything with her, that would have been the end. I would have, lost my lady, the pearl would have been gone, and I would have to be looking for another pearl, yeah. So just to let you know, I only share these things with you because for your edification, for your learning, we can all make these mistakes. And the expected behavior is to give the lady to somebody else, yeah. And even though, and I had to give somebody that I liked and had an initiation experience with and could have been tempted in the greatest possible way. I have to see what my ladies are saying. Okay. Well, we haven't been able to be together, and I've been saying I cannot come there and she cannot come here, and now she's saying she wants to be here in April. She's given me some exact dates now, and so it's a good time to do this. I'm the end of the card of the Grail Master and Maiden, and my divine couple is now going to get back together soon, God willing, always God willing. I'm going to put up a picture of a video that just was uploaded 4 or 5 days ago of a Glastonbury walkthrough, and the actual picture on the title track of the video is the dragon at Glastonbury. I cannot believe it. Of all the images that could have been used for the title slide, the dragon of Glastonbury is there. That's the dragon that I put there. I inaugurated onto its pedestal in 2007. It's my work for the Sunrise Festival. And if there's any object that represents me, Adam I of Light, in Glastonbury, it is this object I'm going to show you next. Thanks for watching. Now I'm going to put a little postscript in here. because I just learnt something by watching the video about my own life, which I hadn't known before, about the couple journey. And something I also forgot to tell you, and that is that there's generally a 9-month gap at least between you first meeting the lady that you're going to be partnered with and you actually being put together as a couple. Yeah, there's always like a gap. And when I was at the Sunrise Festival, I think it was a 2007 one, I'm not sure exactly which one because there was multiple Sunrise Festivals that I went to. I met a fairy lady who, I got terribly sunburnt and I just was completely shell-shocked. You know, you can get that where you're sick from the sun and sunstroke, yeah, and terribly sunburnt. And so I needed somebody to nurse me back to health again. And so this lady helped me, and I found myself at times just resting my head on her lap, and you know, she would just comfort me, and we just talked together, and we had a wonderful time together, and I just felt that she was like a perfect partner for me, you know, at the time. And so because I'm on the way, I can't do anything about it, I just have to wait, okay? And it was probably after that that I found one of the pearls, and I'm thinking it's the one in the gutter that I found, because I met the lady again. I went away, and probably I went to the Bosnia festival in Bosnia, the Rainbow Gathering in Bosnia, and I made these mistakes with these 2 lesbian women there and lost the pearl there, searched for it for days and couldn't find it. I knew I'd lost the lady. I knew that was what it meant, yeah. And I thought it was the lady at the Bosnia Rainbow Gathering that I lost. But I needed to go back in time and think back. Who was it? Did I already have a lady that I loved and wanted to partner with? And I think it was enough what we did, her holding me in her lap and us liking each other a lot. And there was a dark man that wanted her too. I had to have her to do with him over her. So he was jealous. He wanted her, you know. He was chasing after her. She didn't want him. And so when I came back from Rainbow Gathering, I was walking down to Glastonbury. I was walking down the streets of Glastonbury, and I saw on the side of the road a van with an open back door, and sitting in the back of the van was this fairy lady that I'd had this experience with in the Sunrise Festival that I'd never seen since. Yeah. And I always thought about that. I wonder if I'll ever meet that lady again. God, it would be so nice to be with that lady. Yeah, I thought. And anyway, here she was. And I thought, wow, is this it? Is this my meeting? Are we now going to partner up? So I go over and I say hi, and hi. She says hi, and you know, we're talking nicely with each other, telling each other what we've been up to and all the rest of the drama, and just beautiful time we had together. And I'm waiting for something to happen. I can't force it. Just whatever comes out of me comes out of me, and whatever comes out of her comes out of her. And we had a nice time meeting, and then the sun was going down, and she went her way and I went my way. Yeah. And the car was parked. I'm only just remembering that. A car was parked about where I found that pearl. Yeah, it's very interesting. And so, looking at the video again, I think that must have been it. That must have been her. And now it explains why I didn't partner with her, because I'd messed up with these ladies in the Rainbow Gathering. Yeah, and I didn't wait and be true to her. Yeah. I did not know I had to be true to her. This is the trouble. It's very, very difficult. And so it always pays to make sure when you have something happening like this with a lady, to say to the lady, look, I really like you, and perhaps we can be together sometime. And we don't talk about these things. If we did, perhaps a lady will say, oh yeah, maybe we can, and she might then give you her scarf or something like that, because that's really the way it should happen. It wasn't meant to happen that way with me. You know, she didn't give me, she probably did give me something actually, when I come to think of it. Such a long time ago, it's 20 years ago now, or not 15 at least, no, nearly 20, yeah, 20 years ago it probably is. I can't remember. I wasn't meant to, partly because I had to lose the pearl. I had to lose one of the pearls to know that there can be two pearls, and to know what the pearls are associated in this way with losing ladies or keeping ladies. Yeah. And so I wasn't meant to be with that lady, because I'm meant to be with Elisabeth. Elisabeth and I are destined to be together, and all of these other ladies would have not have been good enough for this mission. Elisabeth's been trained in the Anthroposophical Society. She's got the same. I've been trained through the Theosophical teaching, and we've both got the same in-depth understanding of history and everything going back in time, with all the masters that ever came. You know, we share these views, whereas a fairy lady is just a fairy lady, and Helen was just she was like a Native American type lady, banging drums and stuff like that. She wasn't into all the Christian stuff and the ancient Jewish stuff and the Greek stuff, and she wasn't interested in all that stuff. And you have to be to be good enough on this journey. Okay, you have to be into all of it to become the Grail Master and teach the way to the Grail. Thanks for watching.